Hi guys, Speed Reels is here. Today I'm going to explain a movie called The Village of the Damned. Let's start. In a town named Midwich in California, the residents had a school fair, and both parents and children gathered in front of the school to have fun. However, suddenly, an unseen force attacked the town and knocked everyone out. Even the animals were not left out, as they were all knocked out too. A man named Frank, who was out of town but was coming back, was also knocked out immediately after he drove into the town. While he was unconscious, his truck got involved in an accident with another car and blew up, killing him in the process. The smoke from the car caught the attention of a civilian pilot, who alerted the authorities, and soon the outskirts of the town were filled with police and scientists as they suspected that there had been a chemical attack. Not long after they got there, they discovered that the residents of the town had started waking up. The whole town had been knocked out for 6 hours, and none of them knew exactly what had happened. Scientists and soldiers combed the town to find out the cause, but they couldn't find anything. 2 people died from the blackout, Frank, who had an accident, and a man who got burnt because he was while grilling when the blackout happened. The town buried its dead and moved on after the blackout. However, something strange happened. Many women in the town became pregnant at the same time, and their pregnancy dated back to the day of the blackout. Even a woman whose husband had not been home for a year and lady who was a virgin. This made them suspicious about the pregnancies, and rather than being good news, it became sad news to them. Soon, the residents of the town had a meeting about the pregnancies. Many of them suspected that the children would be strange and deformed, but Alan, a doctor who stayed in the town too, told them that the standard tests had not revealed any abnormality. His wife, Barbara, was also one of the pregnant women, so he understood their worries. An epidemiologist named Dr. Susan Vorner also talked to the town residents. She revealed that because of how special the circumstances of the pregnancies were, the government was interested in them and would take care of all their prenatal expenses. She also revealed that each family that decided to keep the baby would be paid $3,000 per month as an allowance. As a result of this, all the pregnant women, who were 10 in number, decided to keep the babies. After 9 months, all the pregnant women delivered their babies at the same time. However, one of the babies died, and Dr. Susan took the body away. She claimed that the baby had died as a result of respiratory failure. The baby was the daughter of Melanie Roberts, who was reported to have been a virgin, when the blackout happened and impregnated her. The remaining babies were all baptized and given names. At first, the babies all appear to be normal, but it does not take the parents long to realize that their children are anything but normal. Frank's wife, Jill, had named her own kid David. He was able to spell his name as a baby, which wasn't normal. She was surprised and she carried him to go and share the news with Barbara, Dr. Allen's wife, who named her own kid Mara. Meanwhile, Barbara was cooking in the kitchen when Mara threw away her plate. Barbara thought the soup was too hot for Mara and wanted to go and help her kid. However, Mara's eyes turned bright green, and it turned out that she was controlling Barbara. She forced Barbara to put her hand inside a boiling pot of soup. Luckily, Jill came at that moment, and Mara stopped. Barbara couldn't tell her husband what happened, as she now realized the danger that Mara posed. After she was discharged from the hospital, right in front of their house, under the control of Mara, she jumped into the river and died. Dr. Susan Vorner gave a report to a committee and revealed that a number of accidents had been linked to the children. However, she insisted that there was no physical violence involved. She then said that since the children were now a government project, it was important to keep an eye on their developing powers. As they grew older, the children were shown to have pale skin, platinum white hair, a fierce intellect, and steely, cobalt eyes. The children were emotionless, and they displayed scary psychic abilities and remarkable powers. When they actively use their mind-controlled powers, their irises or entire eyes glow in different colors, mostly reddish-orange, but also green, yellow, violet, blue, or pure white. There were 5 boys and 4 girls. They always walked in together in twos and only David walked behind alone. However, somehow, only Dr. Susan Vorner was able to block them from reading her thoughts, and the children suspected her. While one of the children was having her eyes checked by the local optometrist, the optometrist discovered that the nature of the eyes was strange and it shocked her. The optometrist then mistakenly poured a painful liquid on the kid's eyes, which made her scream and alert the others who were in the waiting room. Not long after, Mara came into the examination room and controlled the optometrist to pour the same liquid on her eyes. Later, it was discovered that the optometrist had become blind as a result of the incident. Jill then approached Dr. Allen and suggested that he start teaching the children because they respect him and their presence in the classroom was stopping other children from learning. However, Allen declined and said there was nothing he could teach them because they were emotionless. That night, Jill tried to help David comb his hair, but he collected the comb from her and told her not to become emotional because he was old enough to do things by himself. He read her mind and discovered that she wanted him to feel empathy because if he had once felt pain, He should be able to identify with others who feel pain. However, David was still emotionless, and Jill left him alone. The next day, as the children walked as usual, David left the line and headed towards the cemetery. Mara stopped, but after reading what was on his mind, she and the rest continued. When David got to the cemetery, he met Melanie Roberts, who was the woman who had lost her own baby at childbirth. Melanie was losing it and was drinking unusually. When David read her mind, he discovered that she was going to kill herself later, and she did it. Soon, Alan met David at the cemetery and asked him why he was there. David revealed that he had come to look for the body of the one who was supposed to be born with them but had died. Alan was shocked that David knew one of them had died, and he told David that she was not in the cemetery and he didn't know where she was taken to. David revealed that he and the dead baby were meant to have been together. Alan asked him how he knew, but David didn't answer. Alan then headed to his dead wife's grave, and David discovered that Alan had lost someone too. At that moment, David became emotional and he held Alan's hand. This surprised Alan because he didn't expect it. This encouraged Alan and he went to meet Jill to tell her he thinks he can teach the children. In the class with them, they made it difficult for him. Almost immediately, Jill called him to her office, and before he could tell the children what to do while he was away, they had read his mind and were already doing it. While Alan was away, the cleaner came into the class and provoked the children, and out of anger, they controlled him until he jumped off the roof and killed himself. Alan and Jill saw him, and it made them terrified and discouraged. While at home, Mara came to meet Alan and told him there would be changes. Alan then went to see Dr. Susan Vorner to complain about the children. Susan then revealed to Alan that Midwich town was not the only town that the blackout occurred in, and she listed some other places. She then took him to her lab, where she had placed the baby that had died. The baby's body had turned into a strange being like that of an alien. It shocked Alan, but Susan told him that he must put it at the back of his mind and not think about it so that the children wouldn't find out. She told him that she had spent years building her own mind block but that the children were getting stronger. She begged Alan to join her on the project, but Alan was angry that she had kept the information about the dead baby secret and he left. When Alan got home, Mara told him that they had made up their mind and that they would now live in the abandoned barn outside the town and that he must bring them supplies. She also discovered that he had been discussing with Dr. Susan Vorner, but before she could read his mind, he left the room. Later, all the parents of the strange children dropped them off at the abandoned barn and drove off, but Jill tried to convince David. However, David didn't budge, and he left the car to join the others. The next day, a parent came back and wanted to pick up his own kid, but the children refused. They then controlled him until he drove his truck into a gas tank, which blew up and killed him. As the police were going to the accident scene, their siren alerted Alan, and he came out of his office to be told about the accident. As he wanted to drive there, Dr. Susan Vorner rushed to meet him and told him that the other towns where a similar blackout had occurred had been destroyed by the government, both the children and residents of the town. Since the government couldn't evacuate the town without the children's knowledge, they decided to destroy them together. She revealed that the government had alerted her to move out of Midwich because they were about to do the same, and she advised him to leave the town too. Alan went to the barn and blasted the children. He asked them why they couldn't live together with humans. Mara told him that it couldn't be possible because they would end up dominating the humans, and because of that, the humans would try to eliminate them. However, Alan argued that they should be able to adapt and have feelings. Mara claimed that they were emotionless, but Alan argued because he knew David displayed emotion. Mara then discovered that Alan knew about their other colonies and he knew what they were. However, as she tried to probe his mind further, he started thinking of the ocean, and it prevented her from being able to read his remaining thoughts. Mara then revealed that they would soon be strong enough to form new colonies and that Alan would help them because he was a prisoner of his values, and Alan left. Mara told David that he was of less importance to them because his partner died and his development of emotions was a cause of concern, but they couldn't leave him behind. While Mara and David talked, a man was in the bush nearby, and he was targeting Mara to shoot her. Unluckily, 3 of the other children showed up behind him and made him shoot himself. That night, a mob of angry townspeople attempted to stop the children, but Jill tried to talk them out of it. However, 6 of the children came to meet them and they used their powers to kill the leader of the mob by controlling her to burn herself, which caused the other townspeople to flee quickly. As Dr. Susan Vorner wanted to escape the town that same night, the remaining 3 children came to meet her. Mara then controlled her with her powers and made her lead them to where she had kept the one who died. Seeing his partner, David became sad and almost sobbed, but he had to maintain his emotionless state because of the other children. Mara then controlled Dr. Susan Vorner until she killed herself. As a result of the happenings, a state of emergency was declared in the town. The state police and soldiers were then sent out to kill the children, but the children controlled them and they shot each other in a chaotic gun battle. Alan went to meet Jill and told her about how he was able to stop the children from reading his mind. He then told her that he was going to carry out a plan to kill them and locked her in her office because he knew she would come for David. In order to rid the town of the children, Alan had devised a plan to detonate a briefcase of explosives inside while being with them. Alan then went to meet the children at the barn with the briefcase of explosives. By thinking of a brick wall, he was able to create a mental barrier and keep the presence of the bomb secret from the children. He, however, tried to save David and attempted to do this by asking David to leave the classroom to get his books from his car, but Mara stopped David from going. Soon, Jill showed up as she had been able to break her office door, but the children stopped her. David, angered by this, rushed to her defense and knocked Mara over. Alan then told Jill to leave quickly, and she rushed out of the building with David. At last, the children break through Alan's defenses, but almost immediately, the explosives detonate, destroying the barn and killing everyone, including Alan. Jill and David survived the massacre, and she said that they would both move to a place where nobody knew them. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe for more. Also have an amazing rest of the day. We will see you in the next one.